All right, so there's this lady named Kate Harrison who has been going on CBC on some of their panels, and she's been doing really well, absolutely humiliating some of these what seem like pro-liberal supporters also on the panel. So let's have a look here and see what she's got to say this time.
Notions from everybody because we do have to move on. So Kate, really quick, because I think there's two housing markets in Canada. There's those who bought pre-2012 or 13 and everybody else.
Yeah. This is a generational issue. Emily is right. No one has the political courage to say what the truth is, which is that in order to bring affordability, to increase affordability, prices for others will have to come down, and your resale value will come down.
But some have more capacity to let those prices come down than others.
They do. They do. And I think Gregor Robertson, the new minister, was trying to have his cake and eat it too in terms of threading that needle. I think the Prime Minister did perhaps a little bit better job massaging a message that is a difficult one, but to be totally candid, to solve the housing issue in Canada, it's not going to be done just through temporary modular housing. It's not going to be done just through half. Like, every level of government has something that they need to do to bring to the table here, but it will involve some political courage on the part of federal leaders as well as provincial and municipal to admit that, yes, for the boomers that were lucky enough to secure low mortgages and pay those off, their values will have to come down in order for young people to knock on the door of homeownership.
Michelle.
Well, I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time, and it is going to be a balance. But you're not going to solve a housing crisis by pulling out all the equity from people who have invested and have worked hard. I think that what Mr. Carney is talking about is very much in terms of putting more money in people's pockets, giving them more power to actually spend, and actually increasing wages. That's what we've seen in terms of the productivity gap between here and even in the United States for so long. Our wages are not increasing with in any way in relation to how our housing prices have increased.
And it's not going to. So here's the thing, right? It's like, yeah, would it be nice if wages weren't so stagnant? Of course. But the housing market has doubled in just over 10 years. Okay, so if you make $20 an hour over the course of the next 10 years, your wages aren't going to double if you have the same job. Unless you get massive promotions, start a new career, get a really nice job, you're not going to have that much of a pay increase. You're going to have pay increases, and the market is going to have to come down. You can't have the average house. Not very long ago, it was $900,000, at least in Ontario. That's ridiculous. And if you don't bring it down gradually, there's going to eventually be a crash. Like, no matter what happens, right? Like, what goes up must come down. And if houses keep continuing to be more and more expensive and people aren't making much more money, as soon as a recession happens, people get laid off, there's going to be so many defaults on houses, the market will crash. That's what happened. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that in 2008. But what goes up must come down. I know it's way too simplistic. You can get way further into that, but just to kind of quickly touch on that, housing prices have to come down and people need to start making more money. Both of those things are true. But you can't be having the average house anywhere close to $900,000. I think it's actually dropped in the last year or so. I think it's actually under 8 now. It's going to have to be around 5 or 6. And that way, at least, hey, yeah, I can buy something like a small starter home for $250 or something like that, right? I'm just kind of giving you an example, not exact numbers, but it can't just be that wages are going to come way up, because they're not going to go up that much. They're just not. Not to mention, it's already really hard to find a job right now. So you got to have a lot of things that need to happen, and their companies are going to need to be incentivized somehow to pay their workers more money. Whether that's tax breaks or whatever the government wants to do, they're going to have to do something. And just like a lot of you, I don't trust them to do it. I don't think they want us making more money. They want us making just enough to shut us up so that we don't get too upset about what's going on. At the same time, I also feel like if the more people you have are weak, sick, and broke, the more people need the government, therefore are slaves to the government. I kind of think that's what they want too.
Increased, and we have to bring that kind of back into some kind of a more equal balance. So yes, there are absolutely things that can be done including like bringing down DCCs and things like that, to bring down housing costs. There's ridiculous amount of overlap and duplication that Kate is right is going to require every single level of government. But I think that we actually want want people and young people to actually make more money so that they can afford it without them having to, in the end, then have to take care of the seniors who can't afford to live their lives after if their equities.
That's a great endorsement for powerful paychecks, Michelle. That's like the exact philosophy that Pierre Poilievre talked about during the campaign, giving people more money in their pockets.
That's exactly what
Mr. Carr. That's
exactly what the Prime Minister is talking about.
The Prime Minister, I know he's saying it now, but what he says clearly doesn't matter considering all the lies. He ran off of fear and the fact that he was somehow different than Justin Trudeau. That's why he won. Like, it's got nothing to do with him saying, oh, he's going to help people make more money. Liberal boomers who voted for him, they don't care. They're not working. They're living off their pension, and whatever investments they have, and their home equity is gigantic right now. If you take liberal boomers out of the equation, I mean, Pierre wins like a massive majority. So most people who voted for him weren't voting for him because they think he's going to make a bunch of people more money. He's going to make himself and Brookfield a lot of money, though. That he will. There was only a few young people, like a very small percentage of young people who voted for him because they think we're going to go back to the Chrétien era. Which is nice thinking, but I mean, it's way too hopeful thinking. That's not what Mark Carney is here for.
Minister is talking about getting people to increased incomes and to building more in terms of Canada.
Sure, and you can do both things, but you need to pick a priority, don't you?
Yes. Build more cheap houses. There's ways you can do it. You can work with contractors and give them incentives. I don't care if a big company gets a tax break and we get helped in return. I don't care if they get a tax break. I don't care if people are rich. As long as they're willing to do something, and if not, then the government needs to step in and serve us because that's their job. I'm not saying tax this, tax that. I'm just saying you can work with a contractor and say, hey, listen, we got a giant piece of government land. We'll sell it to you for pennies if you build reasonable houses that you can sell and make a decent profit for, about $150. Right? So maybe they build the houses, it costs them $60 to make it, they sell it for $150, whatever the numbers are. And that would give a young couple or even an older single person a decent chance at buying a house again, and that's what people want. People need hope. I probably said that a million times on this channel. Hope is a very important feeling to have. If you don't believe me, talk to someone who doesn't have hope. They're probably also going to be depressed. Just saying. Find someone who is completely hopeless and not depressed. You'd be hard-pressed to find one. I don't believe this government wants anything to do with that. I think they're going to help us very minimally. But they're not going to do anything close to what I said, making houses worth $150. They'll bring it down a little bit and say, oh, look what we did, 10%. And that's not going to be enough. And people eventually will start getting a little bit pissed off about that. Hopefully. Other than that, I mean, let's be honest here. I'm trying to think of what's the best way to say this. So, when it comes to Mark Carney and this Liberal government, right? We have a new housing minister, a new finance minister, new this, new that, but they're all basically the same people that got shuffled around who are with Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau was here to start the plan. The plan is to have everyone own nothing and be happy. That's the plan. They weren't even hiding it anymore. They've said it many times openly. They haven't said it in a while, but that's clearly the plan because that's what happened. The middle class is being destroyed. And I don't believe for one second that was on accident. I think that was completely done on purpose. That's what they want. And now, since the pandemic, they know that all they got to do is scare you into it. Whether it's through climate lockdowns or whatever. They're going to find a way, and a lot of people are going to fall for it. And it's really sad. The only really hope we have is that this Generation Alpha that's coming up right now, hopefully when they get older, they're way more conservative than, say, boomers are. And they vote. So we need those two things to happen, and we can have hope again. And hopefully, a lot of people who may not be happy with the election result maybe thought, I'm not going to vote this time. I think Carney's going to be fine. Or maybe they don't really trust Pierre Poilievre. Hopefully next time we can really get the turnout. And myself and the Conservative Party, etc., hopefully we can do a better job of getting young people to come out and vote. I really respect and I enjoy all of the engagement you guys give me. I appreciate you. Most of you are boomers. I don't want you to go anywhere. I'm just saying I also need to do a better job of reaching out to younger people and convince them to vote, explain to them why it's important, explain what the Liberal Party has done, because a lot of these younger people weren't adults, or they haven't been adults for very long. So they don't understand how long this has been going on for. They didn't grow up when housing was affordable. They grew up in the last 10 years. Well, to them, housing was always unaffordable. We need to kind of explain to them what the hope and dream is supposed to be, and hopefully they understand that and then start to vote the proper way. At least for now, that's the Conservative Party. Things could change. Pierre could always get in and do a bad job. I don't think he will. But if he does, A, we need to hold him accountable, and B, find another option. But that's way down the road. But either way, let me know what you think about this video. What do you think about what Kate Harrison had to say? She's pretty interesting. I thought she did a really good job here. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be back shortly with a new video.